This episode of Budget MTG Decks is sponsored by TCGPLAYER, the best place to buy your cards in the US. Welcome to Budget MTG Decks. All the cards you see in our videos are $1 or less, with exception of the Commander cards. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when a new video comes out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Budget MTG Decks. I'm David, and today we're going to be looking at another fun and effective commander you can build without breaking the bank. And today we have an awesome creature / token commander in the form of God Eternal Oketra. Now, God Eternal Oketra costs 3 and 2 white, so 5 mana. We get a zombie god. That's a 3/6 with double strike. Additionally, whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance. And whenever this creature dies, I'm talking about the commander, or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library, third from the top. Very interesting abilities. Now, the strategy of this deck is very simple. We're going to be playing some life gain cards to make sure that we can stay in the game for a longer period of time. This is not a very quick deck. This deck does not want to win quickly, but it wants to win slowly with an insurmountable amount of zombie tokens. Then we're going to be playing our commander. Our commander is integral to the purpose of this deck. It needs it to be able to succeed. And then we're going to be playing creature spells, which we can bounce repeatedly in order to make sure that we create our horde of 4/4 zombie creature tokens. The deck is also quite affordable. The commander comes in at $18.12. The rest of the deck comes in at just a little bit under $30. So the whole deck costs $47.28 total. Now let's have a look at the deck list grouped by category. So we divided the synergy cards into the cards that allow us to bounce creatures, those that give our creatures flying, and the life gain cards so we can stay in the game a little bit longer. We start with the bounce cards. We're going to start with White Mane Lion, Core Skyfisher, and Aviary Mechanic. These guys all come in for super cheap, all for 2 mana, and when they come in, we can return a permanent back to our owner's hand. White Mane Lion is going to make us return a creature, Core Skyfisher a permanent, and Aviary Mechanic is going to have us also return a permanent. What is important to remember is that White Mane Lion and Core Skyfisher can return themselves, so they can bounce them an infinite amount of times as long as we got the mana over and over again. Aviary Mechanic says it has to be another permanent, so we're going to have to bounce something else, and then we're going to use that other thing to bounce Aviary Mechanic again. Cards such as Stonecloaker, Emancipation Angel, and Ancestral Statue as well. These ones come in. Stonecloaker also has the benefit of exiling a card from a graveyard, and of course it has flash, which is very nice, and it can bounce itself back. Emancipation Angel is also able to return itself back, and Ancestral Statue also allows itself to be returned, but they all cost a little bit more than the cards we discussed previously. Then we have Blinking Spirit, a Ganjo, Free Riders, and Dust Elemental. Blinking Spirit, we can return it back to our hand for 0 mana, so that means we can play it every single turn for 4, creating a 4/4. A Ganjo Free Riders is going to make us return a white creature we control to our owner's hand every single turn, which is nice because we have some very cheap creatures which we can use to bounce every single time and play once again. And Dust Elemental comes in as a 6/6 with flash, flying, and fear, but we do have to return 3 creatures we control back to our hand, but we don't mind because then we can recast them once again. Then we have Blood Clock and Umbilicus. Both of these artifacts are exactly the same, 4 mana, and at the beginning of each player's upkeep, they're going to have to return a permanent back to their hand or pay 2 life, which is very nice because a lot of people don't want to be bouncing stuff back. They've been using a lot of effort to actually cast their spells and have their permanents. They don't want to bounce stuff back. We do. We don't mind. So then usually people will be taking damage, or when they are too low, they will be forced to return stuff back to their hand. And the final of the bounce spells is Scapegoat. For a single white, it's an instant spell that allows us to sacrifice a creature and then return any number of target creature we control back to our owner's hand. This is awesome for if there's a board wipe, for example. We just sacrifice one of our 4/4 tokens, and then we're going to return all the other regular creature cards back to our hand so we can recast them when the coast is clear. Then we have some cards that give our creatures flying, which is very nice because our 4/4s have vigilance, which is very nice, but these tokens do not have evasion. So we have Predator Flagship and Victory's Herald. Predator Flagship allows us to give one of our creatures flying until the end of turn for 2 mana, so we can pump all the mana we want into this to give as many as we want flying. But additionally, we can pay 5 mana, tap it, to destroy target creature with flying, which is actually not too bad. A lot of times there's some very nasty threats that can attack into us because we have a lot of big 4/4s, but they just have a flyer. And then Predator Flagship makes sure that they don't have that flyer anymore. And Victory's Herald, whenever it attacks, attacking creatures gain flying and lifelink till the end of turn. Needless to say, when this thing attacks, and having all our 4/4s becoming 4/4s with vigilance, lifelink, and flying ends the game really quickly. And then the last of the 2 cards that give flying is Sky Sovereign Console Flagship and Parhelion 2. It doesn't really give the creature flying, but we can tap one of our creatures, one of our 4/4s, for example, to crew these vehicles. And what's very nice about Sky Sovereign is it comes in, it deals damage, and then whenever it attacks, it deals damage. And Parhelion is really nice that it attacks. We're going to get 2 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance, which are attacking. So this thing attacking a couple of times also ends games really fast. And then we come to the life gain cards. We got Soul Warden, Impassioned Orator, and Suture Priest. As you know, we all bounce our stuff all the time. We like to play creatures over and over again. And these ones all state whenever one of our creatures come in, we're going to be gaining a life. However, Suture Priest also has the added benefit of making our opponents lose a life whenever they have a creature enter the battlefield under their control. That is it for the synergy cards. Let's have a look at the protection cards. Now, naturally, it would be very common for us to have a lot of big 4/4s swinging in and being also able to block very easily because all of our tokens have vigilance. So people are going to want to use board wipes to bring us back down. And in order to make that more difficult, we have Make a Stand, Rootborn Defenses, and Unbreakable Formation. All of these cards make sure that our creatures have indestructible to the end of turn, so that really makes sure that all our stuff is able to stick around. Make a Stand also gives our creatures +1/+0. Rootborn Defenses allows us to populate, which means we're going to get another one of our 4/4 zombies. And Unbreakable Formation allows us to give our creatures a +1/+1 counter and give them vigilance if we play it in our turn, but we won't be doing that because we want to use it as a surprise against somebody else trying to kill our stuff. That is it for the protection cards. Let's have a look at the control spells. We divided control spells into those that deal with creatures, those that deal with non-creatures, and the board wipes. We're going to start with the creature removal, and that is Fairgrounds Warden, Fiend Hunter, and Banisher Priest. These all come in and allow us to exile target creature an opponent controls until this creature dies or gets removed, and they're going to get it back again. Very nice to target our opponent's commanders, as they'll usually just have it go to the command zone because they won't be able to maybe remove this thing reliably, so they'll just let it go to the command zone. And then of course it's a perfect target to bounce once again, and we can replay it, being able to target somebody else's commander perhaps. So that is very nice. Then we have a Crib Swap and Generous Gift, both instant speed, destroy a permanent. A Crib Swap actually exiles, and then its controller is going to get a token. For Crib Swap it's going to get a 1/1, and for Generous Gift a 3/3. Then we have Pillar of Light and Valorous Stance. Pillar of Light allows us to exile target creature with toughness 4 or greater, which is very nice. A lot of big threats are going to be 4 or greater. And Valorous Stance allows us to destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. But Valorous Stance also has the ability to give target creature indestructible to the end of turn, which is very nice. We can use that in a pinch to protect our commander, for example. Then the last 2 of the cards that allow us to deal with creatures, and that is Celestial Flare and Wing Shards. Both of these cards allow us to make an opponent sacrifice an attacking creature. In Celestial Flare's situation, they can also we can also make them sacrifice a blocking creature, and in Wing Shards, we can actually copy the spell for each other spell cast this turn. And remember, when it comes to Storm, it doesn't only count our own spells, but also our opponent's spells. Then we go to the non-creature removal. We got Leon and Relic Warden, Core Sanctifiers, and Crush Contraband. Leon and Relic Warder comes in for very cheap and exiles target artifact or enchantment, but just as the other creatures we had before, when this thing leaves the battlefield, they will get the exiled card back again. Core Sanctifiers, when it comes in, we will want to kick it because that's when we get to destroy target artifact or enchantment. And Crush Contraband is an instant, which allows to exile target artifact or exile target enchantment, or to do both, which is really nice instant speed. Then we move on to the board wipes. We got a Rout and Hour of Revelation. A Rout may be cast for 5, but if we pay for 7, we can actually play it instant speed, and then we're going to destroy all creatures and they can't be regenerated. Hour of Revelation is going to usually cost only 3 white mana to destroy all non-land permanents, because it gets a cost reduction if there's 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield. And then the last of the board wipes, we have Ravnica at War and Mass Calcify. Both of these board wipes are very nice in that they don't hit us, as it says exile all multicolored permanents, and we have no multicolored permanents, and it says destroy all non-white creatures under mass calcify, and we only have white creatures, so that is really, really nice. That is it for the control spells. Let's have a look at the card advantage spells. The card advantage spells section is a place where white usually has a lot of difficulty in Commander in order to hold its own. We have tried to mitigate it in some way, and we'll show you how we did that by dividing the cards into those that draw and those that recur. First of the draw spells, we got Infiltration, Lens, and Mask of Memory. Infiltration Lens states that whenever a creature that is equipped by this gets blocked, we're going to draw 2 cards, and the Mask of Memory states that if the creature doesn't get blocked, so if we deal damage, we're going to draw 2 cards and then discard a card. So that is going to give us a little bit of card draw on those big fat 4/4 creatures that we're going to be attacking with. Then we have Mentor of the Meek and Bygone Bishop. Yes, we have a lot of very small power 2 or less creatures that are able to be bounced back to our hand constantly, played again, and as we're playing them over and over again, Mentor of the Meek and Bygone Bishop allows us to have a little bit of draw built in. Mentor of the Meek by paying 1 mana, and the Bygone Bishop by paying to sacrifice the clue artifacts. Then we have 2 non-draw spells, actually, Spirit of the Labyrinth and Omen Machine. It states basically that, well, if we can't really draw as well as other colors can, then nobody gets to draw. Spirit of the Labyrinth states each player can't draw more than 1 card each turn, and Omen Machine essentially says nobody can draw any cards, and we're essentially just going to play the top card of our library every turn for free. So that kind of mitigates the fact that we're not great at drawing. You move on to the recursion spells. We got Marshal's Anthem and Sigil of the New Dawn. Marshal's Anthem comes in, we can kick it to return a creature card from our graveyard back to the battlefield, but it's also going to give creatures passively +1/+1 while it's on the battlefield, making our 4/4s into 5/5 vigilance tokens, which is very nice. And Sigil of the New Dawn allows us to pay 2 mana whenever one of our creatures dies, and then we can return it back to our hand. So always make sure we got at least 2 mana open to protect our most important thing, so we can play it again next turn. Then we have Bishop of Rebirth, Cheshire Ancestor's Apostle, and Emeria Shepherd. Bishop of Rebirth, whenever it attacks, we're going to return a creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Cheshire, we're going to do the exact same thing, but whenever we cast a historic spell, and Emeria Shepherd, we're going to be returning a non-land permanent straight from the graveyard to the battlefield, because usually it's going to be a plains that we're going to be playing, and every time we play a plains, we get to do that. These are extremely powerful recursion cards. And finally, the most powerful recursion card there is, Rhea Dawnbringer, costs a whopping 9 mana, but it says at the beginning of your upkeep, we're going to turn target creature card from our graveyard straight to the battlefield. Better recursion than that, you cannot get, but at a hefty price. That is it for the card advantage cards. Let's have a look at the ramp. We divided the ramp cards into the mana rocks and those that fetch us lands. We're going to start off with Mind Stone, Fractured Power Stone, and Star Compass. All come in for 2 and all can tap for 1 mana. Then we have Marble Diamond, Palladium Mare, and Oketra's Monument. The Marble Diamond also only costs 2 and can tap for a mana. Palladium Mare costs 3 but can give us 3 mana when can give us 2 colorless mana when it taps. And Oketra's Monument is a cost reducer, which means all white creature spells cost 1 less to cast, which is really nice for our bounce creatures. And additionally, whenever we cast a creature spell, we're going to get a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. That's very nice to have a nice little chump creature coming in next to our big zombies. Then we move on to the land fetch cards. We got Oreskos Explorer and Journeyer's Kite. Oreskos Explorer, when it enters the battlefield, we're going to search for up to X planes, where X is the number of players who control more lands than us. We're going to reveal it, put it into our hand, and shuffle our library. So it's nice if we're a little bit behind on land. It allows us to get more lands into our hand. And Journeyer's Kite allows us to search for a plains and put it into our hand every time we pay 3 and tap this artifact. Then we have Skittering Surveyor, Pilgrim's Eye, and Core Cartographer. Skittering Surveyor and Pilgrim's Eye are very similar. Come in and we get to search for a plains, put it into our hand. Skittering Surveyor, Pilgrim's Eye, and Core Cartographer. The first 2 allow us to search for plains, put it into our hand, and Core Cartographer will allow us to search for plains and put it onto the battlefield tapped. That is it for the ramp cards. Let's have a look at the lands. We divided the lands into 32 plains and 6 non-basic lands. For the non-basic lands, we got Secluded Steppe, Drifting Meadow, and Desert of the True. All come in tapped, all give us a white, but we can also cycle them away if we already have enough mana as is. Then we have Rogue's Passage, Temple of the False God, and Isolated Watchtower. Rogue's Passage allows us to make something unblockable, which is really nice if we can't give some of our stuff flying. Temple of the False Gods gives us a little bit more mana, but we do need to control 5 or more lands. And Isolated Watchtower is very nice because we can use it for mana, but we can also put 2 mana into it, tap it, and then we get to scry 1, which is already very nice. But also we can reveal the top card of our library, and if it is a Plains, we're going to put it onto the battlefield tapped, which is very nice. We can only do it if our opponent controls at least 2 more lands than us. But we're playing mono white, so it's a good chance that'll be the case. Now let's have a look at 2 example starting hands. In the first example, as you can see, we got the White Mane Lion and the Mentor of the Meek to make sure that we're going to be able to bounce White Mane Lion repeatedly and draw extra cards off the Mentor of the Meek. Oketra's Monument is going to see that every time, giving us a 1/1 warrior next to, of course, the 4/4 zombies that Oketra is going to be producing for us. And we can use Banisher Priest to exile something that's pesky at that point in time. In the next hand, we got Soul Warden coming in super early, and then afterwards Marble Diamond, meaning that all the creatures coming in afterwards are going to be gaining us life, not only creatures we play, but also our opponents, giving us a nice amount of life so that the Blood Clock that we play, should we not want to bounce something, will not deal too much damage to us. However, we can bounce Soul Warden every single time, as it only costs one mana to play, with Oketra giving us a guaranteed zombie for 1 mana, and of course Sky Sovereign Console Flagship comes in later, and we can use our zombies to equip it, to crew it in order to deal damage and attack with Flyer. That is it for the starting hands. Let's have a look at some non-budget upgrades. And finally, we've arrived to some example non-budget upgrades. As you can see over here, we've initially put in the cards that are originally in the deck, and below that, some really nice non-budget upgrades that you can use if you have a little bit of extra cash to spare and you want to upgrade the deck. Have a look at these awesome cards. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'm David, and this was Budget MTG Decks. Find all the cards discussed in this video in the description below. Also, show you're a fan of the channel by rocking this awesome Budget MTG Decks merchandise. This show was made possible by the support of our loyal patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/budgetmtgdecks and donate as little as $1 per month.